Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. I would consider, no, the minutes of the December 2nd, 2025 regular meeting are not available.
Still
Do what?
working on.
Perfect. Any citizen wishing to make statements during the discussion of any item must first be recognized by the commission chair. After being recognized, that person should state their name and the name of any organization represented. Statements should be limited to 5 minutes. Please silence all cell phones and electronic devices. Recording the meeting is allowed, and the commission requests that anyone using special recording equipment be seated in the back row to avoid creating a distraction during the meeting. We have no old business, so we move to approval of appropriations with Bev Schmeidler, County Clerk.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
This morning we have the regular accounts payable register for the period of December 2nd, 2025 to December 16th, 2025, and ask for approval.
Do those, and does anyone have any questions, or I would take a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd move to approve appropriations for the period of December 2nd, 2025 to December 16th, 2025, and authorize the chairman to sign on behalf of the commission.
We have a second.
Seconded.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Under new business, the first item is the Kansas Association of Counties Conference Overview. Not sure who all wrote up notes to discuss things. I could start off with the KNRC was the first meeting of the week on Monday night. The Kansas Natural Resource Coalition had their annual policy meeting on Monday evening before the KAC conference started. I attended that. We had a breakout panel about the Covera water rights. Jim Stanford from Stafford County was sick, so he was unable to be there, but Bob Ryan, Commissioner Ryan from Pawnee sat on that panel with me, and then Greg Walcher and Margaret Byfield, in addition to Tracy Barton. And we just kind of discussed how the coordination meeting went that we had with U.S. Fish and Wildlife and how that kind of all flowed and what a coordination meeting was, which I thought was a good review for everybody. The KNRC has about 32, I believe, member counties, and they had 15 more interested. So I think they're kind of picking up a little bit of speed on their people that want to be a member of the KNRC. Some of the things they highlighted at that meeting was the lesser prairie chicken lawsuit, which the KNRC filed on that to make the lesser prairie chicken not on the endangered species list, which they did succeed. So they were pretty excited about that. They were involved in the NETSI corridor, which was kind of a big deal. They were involved in part of the EPA Clean Water Act that affected small packing plants and poultry producers, and that was taken out as well. And then the Covera Wildlife Refuge updates are still ongoing, but there seems to be better communication, and there's not been a call for water for 26, and they're still trying to get them to commit to not calling for water for 27. So I thought it was a good meeting. It was about 4 hours on Monday night. They also talked about the monarch butterfly being listed, which is kind of an interesting discussion. I think what other items there really were. Yeah, so I thought it was a really good meeting. I think it's a good thing to be part of the KNRC. I think they represent Kansas rural counties pretty well.
It's money well spent with KNRC, really do.
I feel that way too. So thought it was a good addition to the conference. And then at the KAC, I attended the ones I really remember attending. We went to ethical leadership. Did you at ethical leadership? Yeah, that was a good breakout segment about. It was by Jay Hall and his wife, who's also a consultant and an attorney.
I believe so.
Yeah, so that was interesting. They talked about how to lead, and I can't remember all of my notes. They're not with me today. Let's see. And then the other one I attended with Jim Jordan, and I assume he's going to give a big update on how much reserve is enough reserve. Is that what it was titled?
Do the collateral pool? Yeah.
I thought that one was interesting. An accountant from Galva, Kansas gave a pretty good session on that.
Revenue neutral.
Revenue neutral and reserves. How much reserve should you have is be revenue neutral?
But what was the answer?
More than you think. he kind of talked about inflation and shrinking reserves and what staying neutral does, revenue neutral does to your reserve. Is that a good way to summarize it, Jim?
The depletion of our reserves because of inflation, staying revenue neutral. Most people are not paying close attention to that.
So the effect of inflation on your reserve is just shrinking your reserve because it can buy less things, buy less dollars worth of things with
Yeah,
inflation.
some counties are getting in trouble because they're eating away at their reserves and not paying attention to get back up because of the revenue neutral. So,
Yeah, I thought he was really, really informative.
and I'm gonna put a plug in for him. I wish we had him as our auditors because he not only audits, but he also gives you advice on, hey, you may want to look at this, you may want to look at that. He's given several presentations to the Treasurers Association, and he does a great job. I think he was out of Canton, wasn't he? Or
Galba.
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Canton, well, I was thinking it was Galba, but yes, I felt he was very knowledgeable. I'd be curious to see what he would, if we put it out for an RFP, what that would be like. Sometimes it's good to change auditors, not that we don't have a great auditor, but sometimes it's okay to,
I agree. Change is good.
sometimes with auditors, it's okay to bounce around a little bit. What else, Dwayne? What did you get on?
I did attend the 50th annual KC conference. It's been there for 50 years, and as a commissioner, I've only attended 3 years, so I feel pretty new to this. I did attend the ethical leadership, as Commissioner Messenger said. Jay Hall and his wife put it on, and anything Jay Hall does is always excellent. Jay Hall is a deputy director and general counsel for KAC, and he talked about the different qualities of leadership. Sometimes I think we forget what it's like to be the first day on the job when you hire somebody. There's different things like alienating colleagues, the pitfalls of leadership, burnout, and something I guess I think I know that, but he said, people just don't think government is fair, which I suppose that's true. And he said that's where accountability and transparency comes in. And I think as commissioners, I think we do a very good job at that. A lot of the public probably really don't understand maybe, and I wish maybe we get some more feedback if they don't understand. Feedback is probably always good. So accountability and transparency, I think we just keep doing what we've been doing. And if we can see a change, maybe we could try something different. I don't know. And a lot of the change, people, he said, not necessarily afraid of change, but afraid of the loss of things that after you make the change. And, and that's probably true. Carolyn McGinn, Special Advisor for Water, I guess, as I just really are concerned about the water, and I appreciate Commissioner Schlesinger for attending the KNRC, and I guess you're on the board, I think, or you're on committee maybe.
I'm on the subcommittee.
Okay. Because I just don't think everybody realizes how important the water is. And I guess when I always go back, I always think of Hayes and the problems that they have. And I just think, think every day is when I turn that faucet on or flush the toilet, it works. There's water there, and I don't have to worry about using too much water and things. I don't think we realize it. And I'll gladly pay my water bill, because so I feel like our water bill is well worth it. And they talked about the difference in water, Western Kansas and Eastern Kansas. I think we don't realize the difference in it. Western Kansas is the aquifer that we have to rely on. And, there's only so much there. You can't make more water, because basically it's just rainfall is what we're relying on. Eastern Kansas is surface water, which is reservoirs, and which something that kind of I didn't realize, but all the lakes that are the sediment that's coming in. And Tuttle Creek, that's always a popular one. I think we all know where that is. 47% is full of sediment.
Yeah.
And, that's just hard to believe. And I know the person giving the presentation, they blamed a lot of it on Nebraska with with water.
Nebraska farmers, the way the watershed drains into Tuttle.
Yeah, and, I don't, maybe it's just easy to blame it on another state. I don't know.
And
But
she said by 2070, if they do nothing, Tuttle will be like 98% full of settlement.
mhm,
Now that's 2070, which is a few years away, but isn't that crazy that it will be completely full of sediment if they do nothing?
mhm.
And I remember they said they're trying a new dredging technique. Like
Right.
they've tried before where they go in and just do the traditional scoop it out, but this is some new where it's gonna pump it and filter it, kick the byproducts out down.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't live
Those-
downstream, I
Yeah.
guess. That's would be my concern. They just,
Interesting
yeah.
discussion.
Well, it's going downstream anyway, so, but I
That was
think,
the answer.
yeah, and I don't think she gave a very good answer, but, at least we don't have to worry about that here in Barton County.
Yeah.
And, but it is a big problem in eastern Kansas, and I hope they get that taken care of. But I think right here in Barton County is the aquifer that we need to be concerned about. Uh, Groundwater contamination, nitrates and uranium, I guess it's showing up a lot of areas around this part of the country. So let's be careful with that. And the other thing is, the aging infrastructure, of course. There again, water, it has a lot to do with their thriving communities. And I think some of the last thing they said is water is for sharing, not fighting. Well, if we've got water, I would hate to share with another. It'd be pretty tough. It's easier for them to say. I'm sure the state of Kansas would like to see people share the water, but that's a pretty tough thing to do. They said water is for sharing, not
Yeah,
fighting.
she said sharing at the end there. I thought
Yeah.
that was interesting.
Yeah, so anyhow, good luck with that. And I think we've showed some sharing. I know in northern Barton County, I think Hoisington is kind of sharing with the Russell Rural Water District and different things. So I think we've all got to work together, but we have to be careful that we don't want to deplete our groundwater either. So.
Yeah.
And then also the transportation, the next one was transportation. They talked about the IKE program, 10-year, they started in 2020, a 10-year, $10 billion program. And I think they said that they're going to put $8 million in each county. And I think there's only like just a few counties out west that they haven't yet. But the other thing I think that she was talking about is $8 million back when they started in 2020 isn't near what's going to get done today. So that really runs into a problem when they start getting to the end. And $8 million, how much can you do with $8 million well, say even 2030? But anyhow, hopefully they get some more money for that. And I think last one, or the other one was, let's see, I think I did talk about, I guess, transportation. I guess when I think of transportation, I always think of roads, but there's so much more than just roads. They also talk, there's a lot of railroads. Let's see, railroads, airlines, bike trails, so much more than just roads. Like that's the first thing I think of is transportation. So transportation is a big part of it also here in Barton County. Probably, but then the last thing, the vendors fair. We had talked great lengths of the Kenworth dealer and their salesperson and the Mack dealers. And
We get to see both. the
yeah,
trucks
both
set up.
trucks, yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess I and Commissioner Schlesinger and Commissioner Zimmerman were there. And we spent a great length of time visiting with both of those and also Chris, our road and bridge director. So we did have some good discussions. I don't think we really made any decisions of any sort, but we do
I think we're
need,
still waiting on a bid.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruckner's committed to getting us a bid. So
Mhm.
we should have a second bid and then Kenworth is gonna, or Master Techs out there are gonna update, I think, their bid, get back with us.
so, yeah.
But it was good to see both the trucks set up,
Mhm.
just to compare the
Yeah.
similarities.
Yeah, and it was just right there and it was so easy
Yeah.
to talk to. So,
Yep.
I guess that's where the vendors fair, sometimes you don't think you accomplish much there, but we really did. So,
I agree.
but that's all I've got.
Did any department heads want to talk about any session they went to?
So I went to a couple. One of them that I went to was practical AI. Of course, do you want me to sit up there?
Maybe you should, because nobody at home can hear you probably.
Introduce yourself.
Okay, Wendy Prosser with the appraiser's office.
That's who you are.
So this is actually was my 15th year to attend the KAC conference. Making me sound old. But they had some really great presentations, I think, this year. But the one that I started with was practical AI, and talking about how AI is involved in everything. From Siri, you go and Google and say stuff, but the problem is there's so much information in there that you really need to fact check it. We actually had an instance in our office a week prior to this where we had somebody come up with a printout that they had Googled and brought the answer to us about something being exempt. And it said that this object should be exempt. Well, I tried to explain it. And when I actually pulled out the actual statute with the whole part of the statute in it, it showed that it wasn't, but the taxpayer was very upset because they felt that we had been taxing them for something for the last 3-4 years, and, they had Googled it. So it just reiterated that, yes, AI can be very beneficial. It can be very handy, but it is not all knowing, and that if you do utilize it, make sure that you're really checking the information out yourself. Don't always just rely on what it puts out there. One of the other things that I went to that I really enjoyed was a gal named Laura, and I know I'm going to butcher the last name, Janisic. She has an MBA and a business called Listening to Change. And she was originally from the East Coast, came out to the Midwest, and she noticed how much different the communication is. And that's where her MBA is in communications. And the actual session was called Midwest Nice: What Happens When Politeness Becomes a Barrier to Truth. If we think about it, our ancestors really taught us not to do a lot of conflict or confrontational. So there's times when I know that I'm got a taxpayer that's not necessarily going to listen to what I say. So I just kind of nod and let it go on. Well, then what happens is they take that information and they go to the coffee shop, they talk about it, spread it. And so that's how misinformation gets out there, instead of just politely saying, well, that's not the actual case, and going ahead and stepping up and using that communication to put it out there and go ahead and correct the wrongs, even though we don't necessarily like to. But just how sometimes trying to be nice will actually get you in more trouble than just trying to correct somebody. So that one was very interesting. In fact, she has classes coming up, and I've signed up to take a lot of those free classes because just some of the things, the way she presented them, really hit home. And I'm going to have a lot of my staff actually listen in on those as well. So our keynote speakers, nobody's really touched on those this yet. They were, I think, amazing. Some of my favorite keynote speakers in several years. So our first one was Andrew McCrae, who was a farmer and rancher and now produces the American Countryside. And so he was talking about how going to very rural communities, and I think, didn't he say he's trying to go to every county in the United States? And you can go on his website and see all the different sessions, but really focusing on, what is the why? What is your why for your community or your county? And not necessarily saying why, but why not? Changing that around and looking at the positives. What do you want to be known for? When people come through your county, what do you want them to think? What do you want them to say? What's going to get you out there? And so that was really interesting in the different things that he's seen. Then our other one was Coach Donnie Campbell, who was from Kansas, math teacher, high school basketball coach. Just kind of was back there, coached for several years until the series Ted Lasso came out. And Jason Sudeikis, is that how you say the last name correctly? Sudeikis. I was like, I know I'm going to pronounce it wrong. The actor in Ted Lasso actually took a lot of the sayings from Coach Donnie from Kansas. and reiterated them into the show. And so after that, the coach just showing that it wasn't necessarily about winning first, it was more about making good people. And that really reiterated a team effect. You know, we can always be the best, but really focusing on developing a good team. And by being a good team, focusing on us being good individuals first. So then we did the breakout sessions, and Barton County is always on the cusp of 24.5 to 25.5, kind of in our population. So some of the commissioners went to the smaller one, the less than 25,000, and I actually went to the 25,000 to 70,000 population, just to see if there's some different information. And of course, as usual, everybody's biggest concern was property tax. That we in the government, we see it. We're taxpayers ourselves. You know, it's not getting any easier for any one of us sitting in any of these seats. We're having to pay more and more property tax as well. And what can be done? Well, Eugene Rupp from Ellis County actually had pointed out that the new 2026 personal property exemption law, how our legislation wants to make changes. Unfortunately, with lobbying and things out there, some of the changes that need to be made are shut down because of the lobbyist groups that are out there. So when they try to do stuff, and what I'm going to talk about is 2026 personal property items such as your golf carts, your watercraft, your boats, your jet skis, trailers that you pull behind a vehicle, not necessarily camping trailers, but like vehicle trailers, lawnmower trailers that used to be taxed. All of that is going to become exempt. Well, unfortunately, with our budgets, our mill levies, where's that money going to come from? So Eugene had brought that up, and I came back with an example that he had and wanted to see what it would be in Barton County. We are going to lose enough property tax monies that we would have to have 35 $250,000 houses built in 2026 to replace that assessed value that we're going to lose. So we're losing assessed value on things that aren't necessarily, you don't have to have a golf cart. You don't have to have water. It's all, I don't want to call it toys, but it's extras. And now those extras are going to be tax exempt, but it's going to force more people that are already struggling to pay for property tax for their homes, and it's going to cause it to be even more. So it just reiterated the fact that, you know, we have to communicate with our legislators. They try where they can, but unfortunately, there are times when their hands are tied because of lobbyists too. And, you know, really reiterating on our tax committees to really think about your changes. What is that trickle down effect really going to do? So that was at the end of the breakout session, a big eye opener. And like I said, I came back and wanted to see how many homes would we have to replace what's going to be tax exempt next year. And it was 35 $250,000 houses just to stay where we were at. Yeah. So anyway, that's, like I said, it was a really good conference. I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to next year.
You said the legislators' hands are tied because of the lobbyists?
Well, I think that there's a lot of bills that are introduced, but I think especially when it comes to wanting to open up a change in the Constitution, but because if we open up that Constitution, so many more things may be changed, that there's lobbyist groups that don't want the Constitution to be opened up for change because it'll lead to different changes. And I think they have such a big pull to our different representatives and stuff up there. And with it being an election year, you know, money's going to be thrown out. So I think it really,
Well, you call it like you see it. I appreciate it.
I think it really ties the hands of what should be done and what could be done to really ramify the situation.
It seems all backwards, doesn't it?
It
Well,
does.
and on that same note, this HB 2152 that the Kansas Bankers Association put through didn't do anything to help the counties. And that is a strong lobbying group that, so she is.
Lobbying group help the bankers, not the counties.
Exactly. They've taken,
Was
they've
it
tied our
that,
hands.
was that the bill that changed? Because that personal property one snuck up. And like, nobody was even talking about, we're talking about
Just
lower
like this,
property
but
tax.
same thing.
Okay, that's what I want to know. And Madam Chair, as a follow-up on what Wendy said, the county appraiser in Ellis is very intelligent and he's caught a lot of heck from his article. And I think it goes back to what your lady said. He wasn't trying to be mean. He was just being truthful. And even though, and I know that this year more than ever, and it started up last year, but this year more than ever, our legislature's going after our county appraisers. They're trying to find, like I've always said, stop pointing fingers and placing blame. Let's just do what we can do to make this better. But they can't accept that for some reason. And so their fingers are all pointed towards the county appraiser because that's an easy place to say it's their fault. They raise values. That has nothing to do with them setting fair market value. Would you sell your house for what they have it on for? I wouldn't. But if you would, and you think they're way high, there's the appeals process. There's all those things. But I really appreciate Eugene putting that out there. And really glad that you brought that back because I knew it was a loss. But 35, $250,000 homes, we don't have that going on. And if we did, that would be good, but it's still, why shift that tax burden? And that's what Eugene Rupp was trying to point out. So
Wish it
thank
was
you.
easier to explain. I understand exactly what you're saying, but I wish that I could regurgitate that in a way that every taxpayer can understand.
Right.
I don't know that it's possible. Somebody try.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that out, Wendy. That's easy terms to put it in easier.
Like I said, I'm stealing it from Eugene because I think theirs was 38, $250 or $250,000 homes. And so I wanted to come back to Barton and see, looking at our 25 assessed value on those items that are being exempted and what would it be in Barton? And it was 35. So
Well, I think that they look at property tax relief differently than we look at it. They're saying, well, we gave you property tax relief. You don't have to pay it on boats now, jet skis, trailers. But it's like that didn't give property tax relief across the board. It was special interest property tax relief.
correct.
If you can afford a really expensive boat, maybe you should pay property tax on it.
Because you can sell that boat. You don't have to have that boat to live. You have to
Right.
have your roof over your head to live.
Right.
And I think then the county or the states around us, like
Mhm.
Missouri, I believe, doesn't have property tax on their boats.
Yeah.
People were just going across the state
Yeah.
line.
Oklahoma
They
doesn't.
were losing some of them. Oklahoma doesn't either. So I think there was some pressure there too
Mhm.
on the boat side.
So then we throw in side by side, some of them are $50,000, more than my car, but, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy. Does anyone else want to talk about anything they learned at the KAC? Anything else, Dwayne? We missed Donna or Commissioner Zimmerman. She had made quite extensive notes, but she's sick today. So one of the things I did take away from the KNRC, and this was an interesting discussion about mission creep. And they talked about how the government sometimes gets into mission creep and sometimes their agencies do, in which they started out with a singular purpose and then they just grow and grow and grow. And I think it's all of our jobs up here to make sure that we don't have mission creep so that we aren't growing the government or growing an agency. And that puts more burden on the taxpayer. So mission creep was a big discussion in the KNRC. So I had that note and I forgot to say that. So that was really important. So
Sorry, I missed it. I look forward to that every year. Wasn't feeling well enough to be there, but I will tell you, it takes a lot of our department heads and our administrative staff and a lot of the commissioners away from the county for a week. But that's our most major platform to communicate with the state of Kansas. Is that how you guys kind of see that too?
and with other counties, Commissioner Ripe and I had a long discussion with the Road and
Other
Bridge
counties.
director out at Ellis County, and he was giving us some ideas to talk to our township meeting with all our township grader guys. Remember we talked about that and we got some great ideas to maybe do like a grader clinic. And we talked about doing that, but Kurt gave us quite a few ideas on contacts. Foley will come do one and he gave us another contact.
Well, I think Chris is on it too.
Yeah, and Chris Shart's our road and bridge director's on it. So I think you get ideas like that to go ahead and do it, like, so we can bring all the grader guys in from all the townships. And he talked about how they did theirs. And anyways, I think the idea exchange is very important.
I think it's one of the most important things we do.
So,
I think Chris had talked about on the February meeting with all the townships. He's going to bring it up and encourage people to tell their grader operators and have it organized then and be a good time before the spring rains, I guess.
yeah.
So.
He even talked about how NCK Tech has a grader
Oh, yeah.
School.
Yeah.
Like a 6 or 8 week class where the grader guys that run the road graders can go in and actually take a class on how to put a crown on a road and not take it off and things like that. So it might help some of our townships. So might be something we need to look at a little bit too. So,
Definitely a worthwhile cause.
okay. Nothing else on that item? There's no motion needed. So let's move on to item B, facade improvement grant, the Claflin Main Street Corridor project. And we have Matt Potsner, County Administrator, to provide details on an update on that.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
So the Claflin Main Street Corridor project includes Bailey's Food Bin, Cheyenne Bottoms Armory, Quilting by Vicky, and Squeegee's Bar and Grill. Earlier this year, both City of Claflin and the county approved the $42,937.94 project, which included a $10,734.48 match by the applicants, equaling 25% of the project. The project experienced an overage of $1,965 and 58 cents, basically on our end. And as we discussed last week in study sessions, suggested that the county cover the overage with the city of Claflin reimbursing the county $16,101.73 for the completed project. We just would ask you to consider that today.
And we discussed this in the study session, and that corridor was very impactful on what they did. If you haven't been to Claflin lately, it's very cool to see how it all come together at the corner of Main Street. So I felt like this was a worthwhile thing to consider. Them running over. They were still under the cap, right? Like that's why there was
Yeah.
overage in there. They hadn't hit their top match.
Right.
Sounded.
Yeah.
Great project.
Madam Chair, you ready for this? Okay, move to approve the disbursement of $1,965.58 for the Claflin Main Street Corridor Facade Improvement Project. Payment to be made from the Finance General Account of the General Fund Facade Improvement Grant Line 001-26-6925. And further direct the administrator to remit a $16,101.73 billing to the city of Claflin for their share of the original project cost.
Okay, do we have a second?
Like,
Go ahead.
I'd like to second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Speaking of Claflin, I believe they've got another new business over there also.
Oh, yes.
So,
Is it
yeah,
called Bookseller?
yeah.
Does that sound right?
I think that's the name. I couldn't remember the
I think
name, but
that's the name. So yeah, they have another new business, and if you haven't been to Claflin lately, it's a lot going on up there.
Mhm.
Yeah, so. Okay, item C, board appointment, Central Kansas Library System Board, and we have Matt Potsner to present details.
So the Central Kansas Library System supports library services in 17 counties in Central Kansas. The Central Kansas Library System Board meets twice a year to conduct the business of the system, to approve the budget, any resolutions, the system plan, and elect members to the executive committee. The county appointee must be a resident of the regional library system taxing district that is within Barton County, but outside the district of any local legally established public library. So today we asked you to consider appointing Brooke Hallmark to the Central Kansas Library System Board to an uncompensated term expiring May 2029.
Sheriff,
Yes.
you ready for a motion? I'd move to appoint Brooke Hallmark to Central Kansas Library System Board to an uncompensated term expiring May 2029.
We have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Move on to item D, County Clerk's Office request for approval of added, abated, escaped, and refunded taxes. And we have Ms. Bev Schmeiler to present details.
Morning again.
Morning.
This morning we have batch one because we start over after the new tax roll. There were 26 records involved. Difference in taxes of $84,834.90. A lot of them were oil, personal property, real estate, and just asked for approval.
Do you have any questions for?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd move to approve the listing of added, abated, escaped, and refunded taxes as reviewed by the county appraiser and presented to the county clerk's office, and direct the chairman to sign on behalf of the commission.
Okay, have a second?
Seconded.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Item E, County Clerk's Office cereal malt beverage license renewals, and we have Reg Spidler again.
The states changed the way they're doing the cereal malt beverage licenses a little bit. We used to get the stamps from them and took care of all of that ourselves. Now, the businesses have to apply to the state and to us simultaneously. So it was a little different this year, waiting on response from the state of their approval so we could get our side done. So we have a request from Odin Store in Odin Community Club, also in Odin, Lake Barton Golf Club, North of Great Bend, Miller Time and Beaver, and all of those are for consumption on the premises, and then Miller Time for sale in original and unopened containers, not consumption. The sheriff's office did background checks on all of those involved. Just have to approve.
Chair,
Yes.
does anyone else find it interesting that all these beer licenses are going to Commissioner Rice District?
Yeah.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
Glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I bet he'd like to make a motion.
I would like to make the motion.
Okay.
Move to approve the 2026 cereal malt beverage license for the listed businesses to include Lake Barton Golf Course, Miller Time LLC for 2 licenses, Odin Community Club and Odin Store.
We have a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion carries.
Your district thanks you, sir.
We have item F, Emergency Management, South Central Regional Council for Homeland Security. We have Sean Kelly, Emergency Management Director.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Every 2 years, we have to appoint our Homeland Security rep for the South Central region. South Central region is made up of 19 counties. There's 7 total regions in the state. We formulate projects using Homeland Security grant funding that help build our capabilities and reduce our vulnerabilities for the region. They're typically regional assets that can be deployed. We house a few of them already in Barton. But at this time, I'm just coming to you for an appointment back to the regional council as a voting member through December 31st of 2027 for a 2-year term.
Questions?
It's good to me.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yep.
move to appoint Mr. Kelly to the South Central Regional Council for Homeland Security for a 2-year term ending December 31st, 2027. Direct the commission to sign the appointment letter.
Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Okay, item G, executive session. Seeing no reason for that, we move to ending business. After new items are heard by the commission, the following items, including announcements, will be heard. Following the close of the agenda meeting, the commission will consider the authorization of personnel changes for classified positions, sign any documentation approved during the agenda meeting, or sign any other documentation required for regular county business. Similar action may take place throughout the day. Barton County office buildings will be closed Wednesday, December 24th and Thursday, December 25th in observance of the Christmas holiday. The Barton County Health Department, the Records Division of the Sheriff's Office, and the landfill will be also closed during this time. Emergency services will be in normal operation. Appointments scheduled, although subject to change, the following appointments have been scheduled: 10:15 or following the close of the agenda meeting, the planning session with media consultants. 10:30 regular business discussion to include board appointments with Matt Potsner, County Administrator. 11 a.m. program update with Marissa Woodmansey, Juvenile Services Director. 11:30 vehicle needs, Wendy Prosser, County Appraiser. 1 p.m. United Way with the Commission. 1:30 bridge weight resolution and equipment updates with Chris Schartz, County Works Director. At 2 p.m. Microsoft 365 licensing bid review with Derek, Information Technology Director. 2:30 Fire District Number 2 expansion, Patrick Hoffman, County Counselor. 3 p.m. tour of the Barton County Annex, 1208 Kansas, Great Bend. The county edition of KVGBAM is Thursdays at 11:05. Members of the 20th Judicial District Juvenile Services Department are scheduled for December 18, 2025. We move to discussion items. Do any of the commissioners have any discussion items?
Madam Chair, it's just an observation. You know, sometimes it takes going out of town to appreciate what you have. And when it talks about 389 miles of paved road, they wouldn't even be able to imagine that in the Dominican. And it made me open my eyes just listening to people all week from around the world. And the cost of a home, you know, we complain about taxes and we'll keep trying to lower them. We're not going to ever give up. We'll try to continue to make Kansas and Barton County the best place to live. But my eyes were open that houses that I wouldn't even live in cost 200,000+. And the shacks and the little kids, they didn't complain what my grandkids complain about. They don't cry because their tablet's not charged. They smile and wave because people are going by waving at them, literally living out of shacks. And I didn't want to be rude, but I wanted to take a picture of the cattle. The cattle was so skinny. If Slasingers had cattle like that, somebody'd be turning them in. And I thought Tricia wouldn't even consider this cattle. You darn sure couldn't take it to a sale anywhere. They were bony, they were skinny, horses. We live in a good community, and not even talking about overseas, just visiting with people around the United States and what they pay for taxes. And then driving out to Colorado, I'm not sure what they're using their money on. They need to really work on their roads of the interstate. If you haven't done that lately, you're going to have to realign your car when you get back.
You hit the border.
You can. It's awful.
State line.
And it just made me proud to be from Kansas and be from Barton County specifically. But I know our taxes are high, but when you look at our houses, if you buy that same property somewhere else, you're going to, at a minimum, pay 3 times as much. And even in Kansas, the farther east that you go, property is much more expensive. So I think, and we talked about this, you can buy, 1.4 of a house here in Barton on the average salary of Barton County. Other parts in Kansas can't even buy a whole house. They were 0.7, 0.75 throughout so those are interesting statistics that tell me that we're not really in a bad place.
Okay, citizens or organizations may present requests or proposals for initial consideration at this time. Okay, seeing none of those. The commissioners are available to the public on Tuesdays during regular business hours. 1 or more commissioners may be present in the commission chambers conducting county business throughout the day on Tuesdays. The commissioners may individually schedule personal appointments related to county business at their discretion. The next regular meeting will be at 9 a.m. Tuesday, December 30th, 2025. And with that, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned.
Yeah.